And you can see that it's exactly 7:01 and 13 seconds. And I got my new Casio Wavescepter watch, serial code Whisker Victor 58U, I believe. Let me just take it off. So it gets, in England, the radio signal from the Anthorp antenna in Northumbria, I believe, from the National Physics Laboratory, NPL. So you got to look up the origins of atomic time, but time really comes from the French Institute of Weights and Measures. So you can see 7:01, 51, 52. So I can see it on the phone now. And here's internet time from the French Institute of Weights and Measures. So when you think about BIPM.org, that's in France, in the park, and their exact GPS coordinates are X by Y, if you get that from Google Maps. And they average roughly the 200 atomic clocks that are around the world, because those clocks are all at different altitudes. So if you look at the Earth, can we drill down to this plane? The Earth's crust, if it runs in this dimension, varies by 29 kilometers. So those clocks are all in different gravity potentials, because with that variance and that distance from the center, it's a different gravitational potential where time runs. So we're trying to define gravitational time dilations. But then you got to know about the size of the Earth in terms of the Earth's radius and the surface area of the Earth, which is the surface area. Its surface area is area equals 4 pi r squared. And when you consider the GPS coordinates on the three-dimensional sphere, when they get rendered into a website that can do what's called algebraic topology, and you can say that between this point and this point it's exactly 325.4 kilometers, and therefore that's BIPM.org, and you know that I'm 325.4 kilometers away. You know my radius, and when you do that radius on the Earth, the three-dimensional surface, you see that it crosses London. So you know now, I've told you that I'm more than likely in London unless that great arc meets other. So what we're describing is a point on the Earth. So let's go back to the Sparks time. And the Sparks time can get very specific, and this is what we're drilling down to. It's about coincidence and space and time and higher dimensions. And these glasses are for risk assessment, which I'll make clear next. So the Sparks time is saying find your GPS distance between where you are and BIPM.org, and you can get your GPS coordinates by either A, having a handheld GPS device, or B, you can get it from the Google car that went down your road that passed by within a certain distance of your house and exactly where you are. So you know really, within a kind of a bell curve kind of probability distribution function, that when you get that you're within 20 meters. So that's another variable on Earth. What is everyone's exact GPS distance between their Google streetcar view and where they are? And then you got to go, if you in your house you want to get more accurate, you can add a string in your house, and you can get the GPS coordinates at the start of it and the end of it, and then you can just get the average, and the average should map into that Earth website to render the exact topological meters. Because if it all adds up, what we're describing in your house, if you use two strings, which is what I'm going to do now, and you can narrow down through bifurcations a better GPS distance, then when you add that into your house and you look at the radio in a different plane, so now we're in like the y-axis off that axis, and you look at a timeline through your house. So in my house in the back we'll have FM, and then DAB, and then computer radio, and the timeline goes in this direction. So in this case, I've drawn it the wrong way around because the FM is going to be in the back of the house, and there's a delay between them because there's a delay in the signal. FM, it goes in this axis, it goes straight into the broadcast and it goes to the speed of light. But with DAB, there's a running of the signal from analog to digital. So in this axis, there's those different kind of fractal and the compressing of the data for it to come out as DAB in this plane. But when it goes to the computer, there's more servers and more transmission delay, and then there's your Wi-Fi router, and then there's your Wi-Fi to your device. And that Wi-Fi there, that Wi-Fi, it comes from the algorithm for CERN for crunching, I think, research in black hole data, but that's why there's a delay. So you can see that delay in the timeline. But then what is the force vector? What is the magnetic momentum of that force vector in terms of... Science made the most amazing prediction, and it goes right here to the 10th decimal place between theory and fact. So when we look at the electron's magnetic momentum in terms of its torque, it is 2.02 something, I think, to the 10th decimal place. So Richard Feynman in his theory quantum electrodynamics made a prediction, and he made that prediction to the 10th decimal place, and later it was found to be correct. So that's really narrowing down to how the universe works at all these different levels. So in my flat, I got a string between the front of the flat and the back of the flat, and then I started thinking like in higher dimensions because that string can be there, but then if you really think in another dimension, so this is about higher dimensional thinking in terms of relativity and special relativity, because those GPS coordinates, as you might not know, they vary based on where the satellites triangulate you. That satellite is 20,000 kilometers, 200 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and there's X number of them, but the timestamp for it to come up and down got to be changed by roughly 40 nanoseconds to account for the bending of space and time based on Einstein's special relativity and general relativity. And I was just linking all those mathematics around to different things. So in this flat, I was thinking in extra dimensions. I told you got the string from the front to the back. Well, today I finally thought about adding another dimension, which is tension. So I've tensioned up that string, and in case that thumbtack right there that's holding it down, like imagine that popped, and imagine it was there for X amount of time.